I realized some things yesterday after I made a video about wanting more women who encourage women in my life and having that support and that being so delusional about the things you want that other women are so delusional with you that it ends up happening because, yeah, just women encouraging women. And one thing that occurred to me was how I failed as a friend and as an employee quite a few times because of how much of a people pleaser I am and how my people pleasing have has probably negatively affect other women again that I've worked with, women that I'm friends with, because to me, people pleasing was like a survival technique. It was how I learned to survive, to be seen and heard in crowds and not be rejected, not be fired, not be the outcast of the group. And so I would not always give proper feedback to other women because I felt like sometimes I was sugarcoating it, or I'd beat around the bush a little bit, or I don't want to say I was ever dishonest, but I definitely felt in certain situations that my full honesty would either cause them to, yeah, not like me, demote me, fire me. And really, a lot of the times it was feedback on like how they were functioning as a coworker, as a manager, as a friend. And it's so hard because when you want to encourage other people to do a good job and support them, sometimes you have to tell them the hard stuff. Sometimes you have to tell them the truth about their actions or their reactions so that they can learn from them. And also recognizing that if they're getting defensive, then that's not my emotion to handle for them, that I just need to let them have their own emotions about the information that I'm giving them. And I'm learning all of this. So it was just interesting to look back on so many of my friendships and co-working relationships and working with managers, so many of them being female, and how, yeah, I think I failed some because my feedback wasn't always helping them. Like I should have been more upfront with my feelings and my opinions about what was going on. And instead, I would, yeah, just say things like, oh no, it's okay that you hurt my feelings. Like, no big deal. And I was just teaching them that, it's okay to hurt my feelings. It's okay to hurt other people's feelings. Um, and yeah, just kind of not sticking up for myself, which was giving them improper feedback on how to treat employees and how to treat friends and things like that. So, yeah, I think I kind of failed a lot of people because of my survival mechanism, which was people pleasing. Um, I heard something recently. Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Katie. I'm documenting this year of no plans where I've left my 20 years in hospitality to basically take a year off, figure out what I really want to do, what really lights me up, and documenting it in real time, my realizations, my patterns, my habits, all these things that have kind of formed me into the person I am today, and how I'm breaking all of those patterns, cycles, and habits to become someone new and to build a new life and be a better person. So thank you for being here. If you're new here, thank you. If you're have been showing up all these videos later with me, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate your support. I've had several of you in the comments that keep me on my toes, asking me questions, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for being here. I heard recently about people pleasers and how it's actually almost like a manipulation. Being a people pleaser is actually kind of like a form of manipulating other people. And it really hurt me and it really hit home at the same time because I can see how my intentions would be pure, my desires for what feedback I'm giving someone to land softly instead of harshly. Thus why I would sugarcoat things. And ultimately though, I was essentially manipulating the situation to not get a reaction from them that would be, annoyed at me or mad at me or dislike me. And as I said, I think I failed quite a bit of people because I was unintentionally having these conversations, having these meetings with people, having this time where they're asking for feedback, and I'm manipulating it. Excuse me. Ginger tea with some honey. And I'm manipulating the situation because I feel like the truth hurts. What I had to say to them was going to hurt them. And so I was trying to find a better way to make it land more softly, to make it feel like it wasn't a character flaw of theirs that, like, make them realize, like, I know you're trying really hard. Just maybe next time pull the busser into the office to yell at them instead of yelling at them on the floor of the restaurant in front of everybody. Things like that, where, it's like someone's like, was I a total asshole in that moment? And I'd say things like, oh no, like, I get it. I get why you reacted that way. Just maybe next time, do it behind closed doors. And it's like, no, I should have said, yeah, you were a fucking asshole that moment. And next time you need to do better because you're our boss, you're our leader, So just so many times, again, as a friend, as an employee, as a coworker, I wanted to encourage people and I wanted people to do a good job. And also, I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I didn't want them to know that, like, yeah, you really fucked that one up and you need to do better. And I I would try to say it, but just in such a nice way that I think sometimes it didn't land as it should have landed. And I feel like I failed. I failed a lot of people in that, trying to be a good friend, trying to be a good human, and be let it land softly instead of just being blunt. you know just being blunt. And I'm really truly working on not sugarcoating things. When someone asks me my opinion, I still think about it. Like, this is something I learned from diving: stop, think, then respond. Because so many diving accidents happen because people instantly react, they panic. And if you can take the time to just stop for a second, think about it, even 30 seconds, it doesn't have to be, not even 30 seconds is a long time when, like, something is going down. But, sorry, there was like this big, I don't know if it was an ant or a spider, but it looked big. But anyway, I still stop, I still think about it, and then I respond, but I'm trying to work on my responses landing and not being sugar coated so that their their reactions or whatever can feel more palatable. It's like, yeah, I want to be better about calling people out, you know? Not all the time. Like I think that's unnecessary, but just yeah, if something doesn't feel right, saying something and not saying it like, "Oh, like that just seemed kind of harsh. Maybe next time you could be a little nicer." It's like, no, call them out and be like, "Yo, what in the F are you doing? That is not okay. You can't say that shit in front of all these people. Like, go take a smoke break, come back when you've chilled out, and then let's have a conversation." Um, so yeah, that's a big one I've been working on because I want to show up as a good friend. I want to show up as a leader. I want to show up as a confidant. I want to show up as someone that if you ask me a question, I'm a straight shooter. I will give you, the answer. I will tell you to your face what I think and why, and not sugarcoat it and not beat around the bush. And if I lose friends or if I lose a job because of it, then being okay with that, because yeah, I I I can't, I think I'm doing a disservice to people by trying to be more palatable and respond more palatably to different situations, different conversations, different, yeah, relations. Like it's just be a straight shooter. I can still respond kindly, but just not I can still respond kindly and respectfully and also directly, and not let them feel like what they did was okay. Um cuz yeah, there's so many situations, even that I caught myself in, where I'm like thinking about my response later and I'm like, that was not okay. Like, what? So, trying to be a better friend, trying to be a better coworker, leader, instructor, and really being kind and also blunt. And one other thing I will say about this too is, as a woman, it's really hard because once we become assertive, there's that really, um, there's that line where people start calling you a bitch. And I think it's unfair. I think a lot of men are allowed to be assertive and just say, like, no, this is not okay. You can't act like this. Like, go take a smoke break. And if a woman says it, especially to another man who's a coworker, a friend, suddenly she's a bitch. And I think that was what I was avoiding for a lot of those years, is I didn't want to be outcast. I didn't want to be a bitch, because I do want to approach people with kindness and love and understanding, like I understand why you reacted that way. However, it wasn't the right reaction. And trying to come from a place of, let's learn from this or let's find a solution, as opposed to, yeah, just like blaming other people, like you did this wrong and you did this wrong and you did this wrong. I've never wanted to be that kind of person. But sometimes when I would assert myself, suddenly the reaction in the room would become, yeah, just different. Like you can just feel the energy change, you can feel people, how people respond to you change. And quite a few people would confide in me, and I didn't want to lose their confidence. And for some reason, I just was not finding a good balance between um, being assertive and continuing to be that confidant. And I think that was more, now that I look back, I think that was more in my head and trying to manage other people's feelings and other people's emotions, because that's what I grew up doing. You know, that was part of my childhood, my adolescence, my early adulthood, was constantly managing the energy in the room, managing other people's emotions, trying to bring the vibe back to good natured and hearty and ha ha ha, instead of, you know, the heaviness of having a real conversation half the time. So yeah, it's been a challenge to really untangle those, the basically identity that I've built and survived on for so long, and wanting to make sure that in the future I continue to become a better human, so that I'm, you know, not manipulating people with my people pleasing. And, you know, again, that was very unintentional, but it's now that I look at it from kind of an outsider's perspective, it's like, whoa, you know, just trying to live in survival mode for all those years, and that was how I learned to survive. So I thank that person, I thank that girl, and I also am ready for her to, you know, become more assertive, be be a better friend in that way, be more direct, be more honest. So with all that said, I'm really curious, like, what in your life have you felt that you could have been more assertive or stood up for yourself more or said something to someone more real and not sugarcoating it, because you were afraid of their reaction or what they would say to you or about you? Losing a job, losing a friendship, losing a partner, a romantic relationship. Was there something, like a situation that happened to you, that resonates, that you could leave in the comments? Let me know, um, yeah, how you feel about this subject and people pleasing and not being as assertive as I think more women should be. So I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much, and that's my story for today.